there was an Axios article that said Israel destroyed active nuclear weapons research facility in Iran. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I did.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't believe it. A number of, ever since the Israeli attack, they've had one claim after another of devastating success against Iran. And there has been zero, evidence, just like there's been zero evidence of North Korean soldiers in Kursk. There has been zero evidence of this. And that is, that's completely unlike Israel. In the past, when they've had successful raids against Iran and other countries, they have provided the evidence. They crowed about it and they provided the proof. We haven't seen the proof, and I think that's because they just failed. And now this nuclear facility story came out almost a whole month after the attack, and that just suggests to me that if they had in fact hit it, they would have been crowing about it from the start. Now it was just something like, oh, we got to kind of revive this amazing Israel attack story. Let's leak this, this false fact about a Iranian nuclear facility. It just doesn't. It doesn't have any. It has it stinks of a lie. There just doesn't have any aura of truth about it.
Right. I mean, the interesting thing that I thought about the article is if you read the article, if you look at the article, they have a satellite image of the facility from 2022, and it's quite detailed. Yeah. I'm like, well, if you have a satellite image of 2022, where's the satellite image from right now? So we can see.
Exactly.
Because you used the word destroyed. You're showing me a picture of a facility that's completely
Show it to me and
intact.
I'll believe you. Right, exactly. But they just don't have, they're withholding the evidence because the evidence doesn't support their version of events.
So what's the reason of first of all, why would Axios report this? They just fed something and somebody
Axios
high
is clear.
up tells them they have to say this?
Yeah, Axios is very closely linked to the CIA. And so this is just a CIA disinformation effort. And, it seems kind of silly. Just like, we were finding the same thing in Ukraine. I mean, the Ukrainian propaganda and Israeli propaganda has been going full throttle over the last few months. Maybe, this kind of propaganda can have some effect, especially in the early months of a war, to boost morale and so forth. But after a while, in the end, it's going to just undercut your own legitimacy. At some point, people are going to stop believing anything that you say because, you can fool people for a while. I think we've already, like in Ukraine, actually, you're still fooling people who are just, again, low information consumers of news who still think that the Ukrainians are doing incredible things. People who are following events more closely have learned that the Ukrainians lie. Even Ukraine supporters are learning that the Ukrainians lie all the time and are starting just to disregard them. Eventually, people will see through you. So maybe it'll make you feel good for a while, but in the end, what purpose does it serve?
Right. Yeah, it's surprising to me that so many of these established media outlets are so willing to just lie without, they're supposed to be purveyors of information, of truth.
Yeah, you expect the tabloids to have the crazy stories. You'd almost be disappointed if they didn't. But, the New York Times and the Financial Times or whatever, these are supposed to be serious institutions, right, that have built up a reputation for truth-telling. That reputation was always overblown, but there was some basis to it in the past. But now, you're right. We were talking about the North Korean soldier story. Initially, the Pentagon and the more serious news outlets were cautious about it. And, they would say that actually we don't have any verification. But at some point, the Pentagon and these news outlets like the Financial Times just started talking about it as an established fact without ever providing any evidence. So, I don't know what happened. I think maybe that at some point they realized that this story wasn't going away. And if they didn't support it, then they would be accused of being anti-Ukrainian. you know, a lot of these people, like in the Pentagon, they have to know that the Ukrainians are just lying, you know, all day long about this, but they can't admit it. You know, they can't just go out and say, yeah, the Ukrainians are lying, you know, because they, again, the Ukrainians are their guys, they're the good guys. So they've just said, okay, well, they're not going to abandon this lie. We're forced to support them. We got to go along with it because we can't expose them.
Well, why not? You said they would be accused of being anti-Ukrainian. Accused by who? Who are we so?
Oh, everybody else in the media. You know, all these all Western leaders who are all fervent supporters of Ukraine. You know, how can you say this? Yeah, just like these are Putin talking points. That's how they would respond. Right?
But you should be more afraid of being accused of being, you know, not telling the truth by the people, the population. Instead, you're catering to a delusional elite.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's those are the people they're concerned with. They don't care what the average person thinks. I think that's long been true.
Yeah. It's a sad state of affairs if you think you can get more accurate news from like the Babylon Bee than you can from, you know, Axios or CNN or Wall Street Journal.